At this point, everyone knows the risks that come with playing football. The hard hits, the constant micro-traumas, the inherent challenges of fame and fortune. But you know what really frustrates fans and players alike? The avoidable danger that haunts a number of the league's stadiums. Whether it's the unforgiving turf, altitude-inducing exhaustion, slick winter grass, or artificial surfaces that chew up knees, certain NFL fields always seem to find a way to wear on, or in some cases, batter the players trusting it with their livelihoods. And the stadiums don't discriminate. Old, young, star, bench warmer, there's a reason that they've earned reputations that make all the players that have the misfortune of stepping foot on them uneasy. So, without further ado, let's take a look at the 10 most dangerous NFL stadiums to play in today, where surface, setting, or circumstance can turn one wrong step into a devastating headline. Highmark Stadium, Buffalo Bills. If you've ever watched a December game in Buffalo, you already know that this field is no place for the faint of heart. Highmark Stadium's surface turns from manageable to miserable the second the temperature drops below freezing, which happens pretty early in western New York. It hardens like ice, amplifying every impact, and turns even routine tackles into complete body blows. Add 40-mile-per-hour winds swirling through the open ends of the stadium, and, well, you have an environment that punishes kickers, wideouts, and quarterbacks alike with their footing crunching under their cleats like gravel. While there hasn't been one catastrophic injury that defines Highmark, the cumulative toll is what makes it dangerous. Lower body tweaks pile up, shoulders bruise harder, and recovery takes much longer. And it's not uncommon to see serious injuries. Heck, we even saw one in 2025 with Patriots running back Antonio Gibson blowing out his ACL during a win against the Bills. Now granted, there was contact on the play, but still, you can see the initial impact when he tries to plant and cut. Buffalo's home field does not care who you are. It beats everyone up equally. It's almost like playing there is less of a home field advantage and more like a rite of passage. Caesars Superdome, New Orleans Saints. The Superdome has its fair share of shine, but you know, underneath that big roof lies a darker side. With an average of 5.83 injuries per game over the past 5 seasons per BetMGM, it ranks among the NFL's most injury-heavy stadiums. The trouble all starts with the turf itself. The NFLPA has publicly flagged the slitted film turf used in the Superdome. Its design allegedly correlates with higher in-game injury rates, especially involving non-contact and lower extremity injuries. Several Saints players in recent years have battled unexplained leg soreness, knee swelling after home games, and timing issues on routes that they say feel off compared to other fields. Maybe that's why their star players like Alvin Kamara, Chris Olave, and dating back a few years Michael Thomas have had so many issues staying on the field. Power Field at Mile High, Denver Broncos. Every player who spent 4 quarters at Mile High will tell you the same exact thing. This stadium takes your lungs before it takes your legs. And then it takes your legs. At 5,280 feet above sea level, the oxygen is thin, the air is dry, and, well, fatigue creeps in fast. Trainers monitor oxygen levels during timeouts because, well, dehydration and cramping hit way faster here than anywhere else in the league. In 2021, Cortland Sutton struggled through reoccurring knee inflammation after a series of home games and back-to-back altitude conditions. And more than a few visiting players have had IVs on standby by halftime. The field itself is usually well kept, a smooth Kentucky bluegrass surface. But man, that Rocky Mountain environment turns games here into endurance tests. Combine that with freezing late-season winds, and you've got a venue that drains even the fittest athletes and puts them at risk of injury. MetLife Stadium, New York Jets/Giants. It feels like every single year we get another horror story out of MetLife Stadium. The place has been ground zero for more devastating lower body injuries than any venue in football. The latest and maybe most gut-wrenching came in 2025 when Giants rookie phenom Malik Neighbors tore his ACL while making a routine catch on the notorious field turf core surface. To make matters worse for Giants fans, he just so happened to do so during their Week 4 win over the Los Angeles Chargers, which was rookie quarterback Jackson Dart's coming out party. I mean, think about it. A franchise starved for competent offense since Eli Manning faded into the twilight of his career finally had something to cheer for. And wouldn't you know it, their superstar wide receiver suffers a non-contact knee injury because their stubborn ownership won't change the playing surface. That injury reignited the long-running feud between players and ownership over MetLife's footing. Remember Aaron Rodgers' Achilles tear here in 2023? How about Nick Bosa and Solomon Thomas both going down with ACL tears on that same field years earlier? Or heck, even former star running back Saquon Barkley, who has openly complained about the sticky feel of the turf. And you know, the data backs it up. MetLife averages nearly 6 injuries per game, one of the worst marks in the entire league. And well, it's only gotten worse since they installed that damned field turf core system in 2023. For a modern stadium built barely 15 years ago, that is inexcusable. And since two teams call it home, the impact is really felt throughout the league. SoFi Stadium, Los Angeles Rams/Chargers. SoFi Stadium might be the crown jewel of modern design, but its turf has been a source of constant frustration since day one. The synthetic surface plays fast, almost too fast sometimes. Earlier in the 2025 season, we saw it firsthand with Chargers running back Omarion Hampton suffering an ankle injury while making a sharp cut that looked routine, up until the replay showed his cleat sticking instead of sliding. Going back a few years, we all saw Odell Beckham Jr. tear his ACL here in the 2022 Super Bowl. One of the most watched non-contact injuries of the decade, and that image still haunts players who've since laced up on that same turf. The NFLPA has repeatedly pushed for natural grass at SoFi, like it does everywhere else to be fair, but engineers insist it's not structurally feasible under the roof. Until something changes, that beautiful $5 billion stadium remains a place where ACLs go to die. State Farm Stadium, Arizona Cardinals. Now on paper, State Farm Stadium sounds like a dream. Arizona has had a mild climate in the winter, and the venue sports a retractable grass field, air-conditioned dome, and desert backdrop. Reality, however, tells a way different story, as it has been a slip-and-slide nightmare for years now. The stadium's surface issues became a national interest ahead of Super Bowl 57 when Chiefs kicker Harrison Butker tweaked his plant leg and rookie Trent McDuffie strained his hamstring, both blaming the newly installed sod that was literally laid down days before kickoff. Especially after we saw the way that the players on both teams were completely unable to grip the field even on game day. But this wasn't just a one-off. In fact, the same resodding process existed before the big game and has been repeated several times since, with very mixed results. Every time the field tray rolls in from the desert sun back into the cooled stadium interior, the change in humidity creates condensation under the grass layer. That moisture, combined with Arizona's naturally dry climate, leads to uneven footing and soft spots. Heck, even Cardinals players have felt the pain. Late in the 2022 season, Kyler Murray suffered a non-contact ACL tear on that same turf on a Monday night game against the Patriots. The replay showed his knee buckle in a routine scramble, no defender in sight, just, well, the field giving way. Ever since then, visiting coaches have repeatedly voiced concerns about the consistency of the footing. But it's largely fallen on deaf ears, and thus State Farm Stadium remains one of the venues that NFL players are most concerned about playing in. Acrisure Stadium, Pittsburgh Steelers. Acrisure Stadium is the kind of place that looks fine on TV, but feels like a construction zone once you're down on the grass. Pittsburgh's hybrid surface, a Deso Grassmaster blend over native soil, has been a reoccurring headache for years, especially once the calendar flips to November. The combination of heavy rain, freezing temperatures, and back-to-back games, college Saturdays followed by NFL Sundays, leaves the surface often ripped apart and borderline unplayable. The Steelers have fallen under the microscope as of late following the injury of their kicker Chris Boswell, who went down when a divot collapsed under his plant foot on a modest 42-yard field goal attempt. And now, people are coming out of the woodworks left, right, and center trying to spark a change. Players prefer grass fields, but all grass surfaces aren't equal, a source told ESPN. The conditions at Acrisure Stadium underscore why players have pushed for high-quality grass fields and why the NFLPA continues to push for improved shared maintenance practices of grass fields across the league. Even head coach Mike Tomlin came out and spoke against it, though he did toe the line with ownership. "I thought it was poor," Steelers coach Mike Tomlin said Monday about the field conditions. "I'm not concerned going forward. It's my understanding that the turf is going to be swapped out, but I certainly acknowledge it was a concern yesterday. Players have been calling out that field for years, and you know, rightfully so. There's a reason that they say it grows potholes even faster than Pittsburgh's roads." NRG Stadium, Houston Texans. NRG Stadium has quietly but steadily become one of the NFL's most injury-prone venues. According to BetMGM's 5-season aggregated data, it averages 5.84 injuries per game, placing it 4th among all stadiums. I suppose those injury numbers aren't all that surprising though. Back in 2016, former linebacker DeMeco Ryans filed a lawsuit alleging that his torn Achilles was triggered by poor field conditions at NRG. Holes and bad turf maintenance were among his claims. This isn't just one former player trying to cash in either. Brian Cushing, Jadeveon Clowney, and more recently, Tank Dell. The list just kind of goes on and on. What makes NRG so brutal as well is that it isn't just the frequency of injury, it's also the severity, as we've seen a few very gnarly blowouts there. For a stadium to land consistently near the top of injury charts and having a high rate of catastrophic ones is not bad luck, it is dangerous design meeting maintenance breaks. Gillette Stadium, New England Patriots. Gillette's field turf has quietly built a reputation as one of the least forgiving surfaces in the Northeast. Back in 2017, the NFLPA formally requested that the Patriots address complaints about its uneven traction. And while the team replaced the turf multiple times, the issue has not gone away. By late December, that surface stiffens up like rubber cement, making every fall sting a little harder. The issues for players at Gillette extend far beyond the surface, too. Former players have described the lighting and field level visibility at night games as dim, with shadow patches that make tracking deep balls very tricky. A subtle hazard, but one that comes with its own set of injury risks. While there hasn't been a major headline injury recently, the consensus is clear. Gillette's field looks slick, but plays rough. Nissan Stadium, Tennessee Titans. For years, Nissan Stadium has flown under the radar. But when you dig into the data, it is one of the NFL's most quietly dangerous places to play. According to BetMGM, it ranks third in the entire league for average in-game injuries at 5.88 per contest. And anyone who watched the Jets-Titans matchup last season saw why. That game turned into a nightmare for the visiting New York side. Jermaine Johnson was carted off the field in the third quarter with a torn Achilles, the kind of freak non-contact injury that makes every player hold their breath. Earlier in that same game, veteran linebacker CJ Mosley suffered a serious toe injury and had to be carted off too, never returning to the field. Yeah, 2 defensive standouts down in a single afternoon, both on the same surface. No shocker that this came just a year after the Titans made the controversial decision to switch from natural grass to matrix helix turf, another dangerous synthetic surface. And so, unfortunately for players, going to Nashville is not just another road game, it's a gamble every time they step onto that surface. But hey, which NFL stadium do you think is the most dangerous one to play in today? What do you think we're right on here? What do you think we're wrong about? Was there anything that we may have missed? Let us know in the comment section below. If you liked this video and learned a thing or two, then hey, clicking the like button helps us out a ton. And you know, we really appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, then subscribing is a great idea, because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.